Every pilot who takes off on a combat mission over hostile territory understands one thing. The aircraft they are flying is the most advanced piece of military technology ever built. Its radar warning systems, its electronic countermeasures, its speed, its altitude, its ability to detect threats before threats detect it. All of it designed so that a pilot comes home. Today, an American fighter jet did not come home. It was shot down. Over Iran. Not over the Persian Gulf. Not close to the border where contested airspace creates ambiguity. Over Iran. And in the hours since that aircraft disappeared from the tracking screens of U.S. Central Command, 4 questions have been driving every classified briefing, every Pentagon press call, and every Allied intelligence assessment around the world. How did Iran shoot it down? Where is the pilot? What does Iran still have that we don't know about? And what does America do next? Those are the 4 questions I am going to answer for you in the next 15 minutes. Because this is not just a story about one lost aircraft. This is the moment that forces every assumption about this war to be reconsidered. Let us start with what we know, and be precise about the distinction between what has been confirmed and what is still being pieced together in real time. The U.S. military has confirmed the loss of an American fighter jet during combat operations over Iranian territory. The aircraft was conducting a mission as part of Operation Epic Fury, the sustained American air campaign against Iranian military, nuclear, and strategic infrastructure that began on February 28. The aircraft types flying combat missions over Iran during Operation Epic Fury represent the absolute cutting edge of American military aviation. The F-35 Lightning II, the most advanced stealth fighter ever built, incorporating low observable technology that dramatically reduces its radar signature. The F-15E Strike Eagle, a twin-engine, 2-seat strike fighter with one of the most sophisticated avionics suites in the world. The F/A-18 Super Hornet, the backbone of U.S. carrier-based strike aviation, equipped with electronic warfare systems designed specifically to suppress and defeat enemy air defenses. These are not vulnerable aircraft. These are machines built, tested, and refined over decades, specifically to survive and operate in defended airspace, which makes the fact that one of them was shot down not just a military loss, but an intelligence failure that demands an explanation. Here's the context that makes this event so significant. Earlier assessments of the air campaign's progress noted that Operation Epic Fury had, combined with Israeli strikes in Operation Roaring Lion, destroyed approximately 85% of Iran's integrated air defense network. Command nodes struck, radar sites blinded, known missile battery positions hit with precision munitions. 85% is a large number, but war is not a percentage game when you are the aircraft at the wrong end of the 15% that survived. And that surviving 15% just demonstrated something that reshapes every mission profile flying over Iran right now. There are Iranian air defense systems still active, still capable, and still able to engage and destroy modern American combat aircraft. The most survivable component of any air defense network is not the most sophisticated system. It is the most mobile one, a fixed radar installation, a permanent building with antenna arrays, can be identified on satellite imagery, targeted and destroyed. It has a known location. It cannot run. A mobile surface-to-air missile system mounted on trucks, capable of relocating its launcher, its radar, and its command vehicle between firing positions, is fundamentally different. It can move before targeting data is updated. It can pull off a road, park in a concealed position, and go completely silent, radar off, no electronic emissions, invisible to airborne threat detection, until a target enters its engagement envelope. Then it activates, fires, and moves again before the counterattack arrives. This is the most likely explanation for how an American fighter jet was shot down today. Not a sophisticated technical breakthrough by Iran. Not a new weapon system that defeated the aircraft's defensive systems through superior technology. A disciplined crew, a mobile launcher, a radar that stayed off until the last possible moment, and a firing solution calculated from the predictable patterns of an air campaign that, after weeks of operation, may have developed routines that a careful adversary could study and exploit. We saw this before. In 1999, when a Serbian air defense commander named Zoltan Dani shot down an American F-117 Nighthawk stealth aircraft, not with a better missile, with patience, with the mission's discipline, and with the understanding that even the most advanced aircraft in the world has a window of vulnerability if you know where to wait for it. Iran's surviving air defense crews appear to have found that window. Before the strategy, before the politics, before the military analysis, there is a person, an American service member who climbed into a cockpit this morning, completed their pre-flight checks, and launched on a mission over Iranian territory. That person's status right now is the most urgent question in this entire story. When a military aircraft is struck by a surface-to-air missile, the pilot has a narrow window in which to eject. Modern ejection seats are extraordinary pieces of engineering. 0-0 capable, meaning they can fire from a stationary aircraft on the ground and still save a pilot's life. At operational altitude and speed, a functioning ejection system gives a pilot a reasonable chance of surviving even a catastrophic airframe failure. Whether this pilot ejected successfully is one of the first questions U.S. Central Command will be trying to answer. Emergency locator beacons, satellite communications, and signals intelligence can all provide data points on pilot status within minutes of a shootdown. If the systems functioned and if the pilot was in a condition to activate them, if the pilot ejected and survived the ejection, the United States faces an immediate decision about combat search and rescue, launching dedicated rescue aircraft and personnel to locate and extract the downed airman before Iranian forces can reach them. That decision is not simple. The same threat environment that shot down the aircraft is still present. Any rescue mission conducted over Iranian territory must suppress or evade the surviving air defense capability that just demonstrated it is fully operational. A rescue mission is itself a combat operation, requiring fighter escort, electronic warfare support, and a threat assessment that just became significantly more uncertain. The U.S. military has both the dedicated assets, the HH-60W Jolly Green. 2 helicopter is the primary combat search and rescue platform, and the doctrine for this exact scenario. Whether executing that doctrine over Iranian territory today is feasible, given what just happened, is a judgment that U.S. commanders are making right now. The alternative that no one wants to consider, but that must be stated plainly. If Iranian forces reach the pilot first, an American prisoner of war is now on Iranian soil. A captured American pilot changes this conflict in ways that go far beyond the military dimension. Iran gains a human bargaining chip of enormous value. Proof, visible and personal, that American military personnel have been taken. Iranian state media will use that image for every ounce of domestic and international political value it can extract. And the United States faces a pressure that is different in kind from any pressure that bombs and missiles can create. The return of an American prisoner of war is a demand that does not come from a government or a military. It comes from a family, and no administration, regardless of its strategic calculations, can be indifferent to that pressure. Whatever the outcome, rescue, capture, or the worst possibility, the person inside that aircraft deserves to be at the center of this story. Not as a strategic variable, as a human being who flew a mission in service of their country and did not come back as planned. The shootdown forces a fundamental reassessment of a question that has been running beneath the surface of every briefing about Operation Epic Fury's progress. How much of Iran's military capability is still intact? The public narrative of the air campaign has been built around the scale of destruction achieved against Iranian military infrastructure. Nuclear facilities struck, air defense batteries destroyed, missile launch sites along the Hormuz coast sealed with bunker-buster bombs, coastal anti-ship missile launchers taken out. The language of the campaign has been the language of systematic dismantlement. Today's shoot-down is a data point that does not fit neatly inside that narrative. S-300 surface-to-air missile system, Russian-supplied, long-range, capable of engaging aircraft at high altitude and significant distance. Multiple batteries were known to exist before the conflict. The question of how many survived the opening strikes is now more urgent than before. Bavar 373, Iran's domestically developed long-range surface-to-air missile system, designed as a homegrown alternative to the S-300. Mobile components of this system are significantly harder to find and destroy than fixed installations. Khordad-3, a medium-range Iranian system that achieved international attention in 2019 when it was credited with shooting down a U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk surveillance drone over the Persian Gulf. Mobile, capable, and proven in the context of engaging American military aircraft. Tor-M1, a short to medium-range Russian-supplied system, highly mobile, designed specifically for point defense of high-value targets. The critical insight from today's event is not which specific system Iran used. It is the operational method. Iran's most capable surviving air defense crews have been operating under strict emissions discipline since the conflict began. Their radars have been turned off. They have been invisible to the airborne electronic warfare systems, the EA-18G Growler jamming aircraft, the threat warning receivers on every aircraft flying over Iran, that are continuously scanning for active radar emissions. These crews have been gathering intelligence about American mission patterns, watching flight corridors, noting timing, building a picture of where American aircraft go, at what altitude, at what time, not by tracking them on radar, but by observing them from the ground and through shared intelligence networks. And when a pattern became predictable enough, when one moment presented itself, a radar was switched on for the minimum time necessary. A targeting solution was computed, a missile was fired, and the radar went dark again. This is called an ambush engagement. It is the most dangerous tactic a degraded air defense force can employ against a numerically and technically superior air campaign. And it just worked. The implications for the intelligence picture of this conflict are significant. If Iran's surviving air defense capability is larger, more capable, and more disciplined than the 85% destruction assessment suggested, the question that Trita Parsi raised after the Diego Garcia missile strike applies here too. What else does Iran have that we do not fully know about? A ground-based missile battery that successfully engaged an American fighter jet demonstrates operational discipline, intelligence awareness, and tactical sophistication. Those characteristics do not exist in isolation. They exist in a force that has been trained, maintained, and prepared to survive and fight under the conditions of sustained attack. That is a different picture of Iran's surviving military capability than the one that has been presented publicly. The loss of an American fighter jet over Iran forces a set of immediate decisions that will define the next phase of this conflict. Let us walk through each one. The instinct of any military commander facing a confirmed threat that was not fully accounted for is to pause operations long enough to recalibrate. This does not mean stopping the war. It means reviewing mission profiles, changing flight paths and timing patterns that may have become predictable, reinforcing the electronic warfare coverage that precedes strike packages, and updating the target list to include the surviving air defense assets that today's event has revealed. The alternative, continuing operations at the same tempo and on the same flight profiles without adjustment. accepts a risk that has just been demonstrated as real. No military commander who has lost an aircraft to a threat they underestimated will make that choice. The air campaign will continue, but not unchanged. The second decision is about escalation. How does the United States respond to the shoot-down itself? An American fighter jet shot down by Iranian forces is a direct attack on the United States military. Under established American military doctrine and precedent, that attack demands a response. The nature of that response, its scale, its targets, its timing, will be calibrated against several competing considerations. Striking the battery or batteries that conducted the shoot-down is the most direct option if they can be located. This sends a clear message. Every Iranian system that fires at an American aircraft will be destroyed. It reinforces deterrence for the surviving air defense crews who are still sitting in positions around the country. A broader response targeting Iran's remaining air defense infrastructure, a systematic effort to close the remaining 15% gap, is the second option. This reduces the threat to future American missions, but requires identifying and locating mobile systems that have been deliberately hiding for weeks. The third decision is diplomatic. What does this shoot-down mean for the trajectory toward negotiation? Trump has been signaling, with increasing frequency, that Operation Epic Fury may be approaching its endpoint. Reports of preliminary talks between U.S. and Iranian officials, disputed by Iran but reported by multiple news organizations, suggest that a diplomatic track is at least being explored. The shoot-down complicates that track in both directions. For the United States, allowing a shoot-down of an American aircraft to go unanswered while pursuing negotiations would signal weakness, both to Iran and to every other adversary watching this conflict. Any negotiated conclusion must be reached from a position of demonstrated strength, not in the shadow of an unresponded military challenge. For Iran, the shoot-down is the most significant military achievement of the conflict. It demonstrates capability, resistance, and will. That demonstration may make Iran's government more confident at a negotiating table, or it may make the hardline elements of Iran's military and political establishment less willing to negotiate at all. What is clear is this: the political window for a swift conclusion to this conflict that existed before this shoot-down just narrowed. An American aircraft is down. A pilot's status is unresolved. The American public, which polling already showed was weary of the conflict, now has a personal, human loss to attach to their war fatigue. And that will create pressure that plays out in every direction simultaneously.